Well, hello everybody and welcome to our online training. Today we are going to talk all about how to build your wireless MEI. This is going to be an awesome training today. We've got a great expert on with us today and you're going to love what we have in store for you. But before we get started, if you happen to be Spanish speaking and would like to call in on the Spanish translation line, it's right up on the screen there. Take a moment to write that down, get those numbers down, call into the Spanish translation line. And that's it for that. What we want to talk about next is right before we get started today, for those of you who are brand new in our business today, we've got a great treat in store for you at the very beginning. For the next few minutes, about 3.5 minutes, we have a quick start training for all of our new people. Tune in right now to our quick start training.
Hello, this is Executive Director Brian Dilsheimer. Welcome to our weekly Connect training. Many of you who are joining us today may have just recently started with Connect. So what I'd like to do before we dive into our main topic today is take you through what we call quick start training. The key to your initial success will be massive, immediate action. This training will show you how to get your business going quickly. Others joining us may not have gotten started yet, but are ready to take that step now. If that's you, get with the person who shared this business with you, and they will help you get started on their personal home site. For the rest of you that have just begun, your first step is to get qualified. You become qualified by acquiring your first 4 customer points. Although optional, many new associates will subscribe to Connect Pro for $24.95 per month. A Connect Pro subscription can be substituted for your first 2 qualification points for as long as the subscription is active. More importantly, being subscribed means you'll have your very own personal website, advanced back office reporting tools, VIP travel benefits, the Connect Share app, and so much more. It's hard to imagine building your business without Connect Pro. Now, you just need 2 more customer points to become qualified and earn your first commission. Although also not required, many will choose to become their own customer with our Stream Energy service, if available, or wireless, if not both. But you'll still need at least 1 outside customer. Once you've enrolled that outside customer as your 4th point, you'll be qualified and will have earned your first commission of $100. Now it's time to start building a team. It's a team of people that makes the difference. This is what we call creating leverage, and that's ultimately what our business is all about. And when you start a team and help them get qualified, you keep earning. Your primary function is to create the leverage through duplication, teaching others to do what you just did. Get qualified and shared Connect. It's really that simple. Not easy, just a simple process to follow. And we've got the Get Connected training videos in your Connect Central back office to help you get your business going. I would encourage you to watch these videos right away, where a few of our top earners teach you what the right things are to say when asking someone to become your customer or join you in the business as an associate. This will help you feel confident and take action quickly. Leverage begins with you. Make sure you also take the time to plug into all that Connect has to offer. You should start by joining our Facebook group, Life Connected-Connect Associates. Then I would suggest you bookmark our official Connect news blogs that we call Currents, which can be found at weconnect.com/currents. In addition to these platforms of information, make sure to download the Connect Share app and attend all the weekly conference calls, trainings, and webinars. If you want to see results in your Connect business, you'll want to plug into the system. Use all the tools and attend all the events available to you. They were created to support your growth and success, so don't pass them up.
All right, everyone, welcome back. It is now time to learn how to build your wireless MEI. My name is Baird Jahanian. I'm the Senior Manager of Field Development in Corporate with Connect, and I have a great trainer with me today. We've got National Director Jim Spargur with us today. Jim, I'm going to pop you up on the screen. How you doing today, Jim?
Doing great. It's a wonderful day to be out connecting with wireless.
And you're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, gang. That's what's so amazing about what we are doing right now. We're moving our business online, which is a really important thing. I think when we come out of this, Jim, it's going to be a great skill that we've all learned, learning how to build online across the nation from one ocean to the other. I'm about 40 miles west of Philadelphia, and you're out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Jim. Can you talk a little about what the weather's like out there today?
Today, the weather is just awesome. It is a great, beautiful day in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Awesome. So, gang, this is amazing. We can talk across the nation, across the country. We can build this business. And what's great is in Oklahoma, Jim, we do not have energy. Am I correct?
That is correct. It is wireless only.
We do have wireless there.
Yes, sir.
And in a few months, we're also going to have TruVie there.
Absolutely.
So, gang, if you build a foundation of wireless in our non-energy states as well as our energy states, imagine what you'll be able to do when TruVie launches down the road. So, Jim, I'm really excited to get started with this today, and I'm really glad that you're the person that is here with me. You've put in your team over 1,000 wireless customers so far. You're the expert in our company, so we're going to get right to it, gang. It's really important to understand something. We've got some gold for you today, and I'm not talking about money. What I'm talking about is golden nuggets, tips along the way that are going to help you to really grow and build your business if you follow the tips that are in gold. So you're going to see along the way some things that are in gold. So let's get right to it. Today, I want you to maximize what you're going to learn. Here's how you do it. The first thing is you want to take notes. If you don't have a notebook out, press pause right now. Get out a notebook and a pen and make sure you are taking notes. You can, of course, take screenshots as well, but it always helps when you take notes. It's so much easier and better to remember everything you learned. The next thing, obviously, like I said, is take some screenshots. It's all really good to do. But here's the gold, and this is what I was talking about a moment ago. This is in gold, so watch again and review your notes. But I want to warn you, watch again and review your notes, but only if you are serious. If you are not serious, absolutely do not watch this again and don't review your notes. Okay, I think I made my point there, Jim. So why are we here today, gang? We're here for 3 simple reasons. Number one, you want to build with more MEI. Well, duh, right? That's why you're here. You want more MEI. You also want customers that stick, and you want more long-term MEI. So, Jim, why is it that wireless customers stick around more? What's the deal with that?
Well, first of all, as humans, we just don't like change. When we do something, we do it, and we don't like to change it. And sometimes, even though that we know it would be better for us, unfortunately, we just don't like change. But wireless is one of those where that people actually stay with their carriers on an average of 8 years and 4 months. And so that's long term. But once we educate them, that we can share with them how that they can save on something and they don't have to change, there you go. You don't have to change. We got the best of the best.
Awesome. So, gang, what we're going to show you today is some value, right? We're going to talk about that in a moment. The value of becoming a wireless customer with Connect. And gang, you really definitely want to make sure that you get some of this long-term MEI. That's what's going to make your business so much easier. Because, Jim, the last thing we want to do is have to constantly re-up customers, right? We have to do that with energy, but we don't have to do that with wireless. So wireless in some ways is just like energy. I think a lot of times, Jim, people think, well, gosh, wireless is throughout the entire country. So if it's all around the whole country, that means anybody can be my wireless customer. And that's just not the case, is it?
No, it's not. With all carriers, you have where you have places that doesn't have good signal, that's just not a good area for their towers or their network. And so all carriers have challenges in different areas with their network, with their signals.
So let's talk a little bit about this. Like Jim just said, you can't switch every customer. That's a really important thing to understand. So if you go into this with the mindset and you teach your team to have the same mindset that not every customer can switch, then you're going to feel much better when you find out someone can't. And if you watch the training, the Focused and Connected training the other day, you heard Ryan say a few things here, and if every customer can switch right and you have the right mindset, you can really build your business in a way that's not going to slow you down, guys. It's so important to understand that not everyone can switch, and if they can't, that's okay. You got to move on from there. So the next thing is sell based on their current rate, not on the competition. So Jim, I don't know about you, but if I was, let's say I was an associate out there today, and I knew my customer was paying $100 for one line, and they could get it with us. And this is just a hypothetical. They could get it for us for $35, but I knew there was another competitor out there for $34. Am I going to tell them about my competitor? Am I going to feel bad about saving them $65 on their one line, Jim?
Absolutely not. You'll be pleased that you did share that you can save them with our company as much as what you just explained.
Yeah. So gang, make sure you understand that you're not going to sell based on what someone else's price is. Sell based on our current rate. And really the mindset is, if you look at someone else's rate and you see, wow, this other company X, has a better rate than us, I can't sell this. Well, sure you can. All these other companies have huge wireless books. You absolutely can. It's all about mindset. And the third, yeah, Jim.
I was just going to say, you have that relationship with that person that carrier won't have with that person. So you have the upper hand just because you have the relationship with them, they don't.
Absolutely. So the last thing is, think of the wireless coverage map to be the same as the energy markets we serve. So just like, in Oklahoma, Jim, you can't switch any energy customers there at all. It's impossible for you to switch a customer on energy in Oklahoma, but you don't feel bad about that.
No.
Yeah, so it's you got to look at that wireless service map and see if there's bad service. That's simply not, think of it as like that's it's like a regulated area, right? So we can't switch an energy customer there. You can't switch a wireless customer there. And we're going to talk a little bit later on about exactly what you can do to ensure, or at least have a better chance of making sure that your wireless customers or your potential customers will have good service. So, Jim, let's get into this. We've got a great new promotion right now through to the end of May for $35 a line. Why is this a game changer, Jim?
Well, especially in this day and time where people are uncertain about their future and their jobs, at $35, it does allow you to help just about anyone. I would be surprised if you ran across one person that you couldn't share and show how they can save on their wireless through $35. That is a low price. There are other carriers out there that I have people call me and say, well, I've seen a billboard, I've seen a TV commercial that says that they have $35. But there's a lot that goes along with that. They have to get devices sometimes, and they don't have exactly what we're offering, especially on the times 12 data, which we'll get into.
And Jim, you also, yeah, exactly. Let's talk about that. Was actually going to be my next question. We've got better speed. This $35 line is a really good deal right now.
It actually is, because we're giving the premium for $35. We're not giving them a $35 just to get them in or to tease them, to raise them. That is our rate with all the benefits of having times 12 speed. And so to kind of give you an example, if you have 5 bars, if you're connected to the network with 5 bars, all the carriers, you're at 8 gigabyte speed. But with our times 12, that is 96 gigabyte speed. So it's extremely fast. And as we live in a world that we like things to happen quickly, that data speed will impress anybody and everyone. And that's where you'll win. When you share with them the data speeds, that comes along with our $35.
And the other part of that, gang, is you still get the hotspot, right, Jim?
Absolutely. I mean, hotspotting is charged by carriers for an add-on. If you want hotspotting, you're paying for hotspotting in most cases. And again, it comes with our data plan at $35 a line.
That's actually one of my favorite features, because there's so many times you go someplace and there's no internet access, and you simply just turn on your phone and you activate the hotspot, and now you can get on your computer, your phone, you can cruise the internet. It's pretty cool. I really like that a lot. So Jim, let's get into into a customer gathering strategy here. And I'm calling it a strategy, and strategy is in gold, folks, because the idea of this being a strategy is really important. It's not tips, it's a strategy. If you want to win a football game, you need a strategy to get the ball across the goal line more often than the other team does. If you just have some tips, that's great. Everyone has those same tips. The other team has the same tips. But if they don't have the strategy to do it, they're not going to win. So let's talk about the strategy. And here's the first strategy. Use the coverage map to find the best service areas. So instead of just going out and calling people and seeing who can be your customer, start off first by looking at the coverage map. So just in the same way we look at our service area map for energy, we know that we're in Texas, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, New Jersey, etc. We know that coverage map area. We know in what areas we actually have service for energy. So make sure you understand the coverage map as well, and we're going to show you shortly how you can find that. So that's the first thing you want to do. The next thing you want to do, Jim, it's, there's a strategy, I think, behind all of this, and if you use the strategy, you're always going to win. It's simple here, gang. Just ask your friends and family what they're paying for their phones. Jim, have you ever had anyone, when you've asked someone what they're paying for their phone, literally just outright say, "Hey, what do you pay for your bill every month for wireless?" Have you ever had anyone be offended by that question?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's a conversation because everyone usually has their hand in their phone. And when you say, "Hey, by the way, if you don't mind me asking, what are you paying for your carrier, for your service?" And it gives you the opportunity to go into the asking other questions, as we'll get into.
And I would think most people are going to say, "Oh man, my phone bill is out of sight. It's ridiculous. I hate paying that bill." And what they're telling you is, "Please tell me how I can pay less." I mean, it gets easy once you ask that question. Am I right, Jim?
Absolutely.
So once you get into that conversation, all you need to do is ask this. Write this down, gang. Take a screenshot, write it down. It's really simple. If you could get the same or better coverage and pay less, would you be open to getting a quote? Because, gang, we don't want to ask anyone to get the same or better coverage and pay more. But if you could get the same or better coverage and pay less, would you be open to getting a quote? And Jim, it's real important here, I think, that what we don't do is start to push and tell people, "You need to switch to our service because we're less and we're this and we're that." It's just simply a conversation. Am I right, Jim?
It is just simply a conversation that you're just sharing information, but you're gathering information, and you want to be a good listener. Once you ask a question, then be a good listener, and it'll give you the direction to go with the next question about it. But it is an easy conversation, and the way that you just put it, if they'll do exactly what you just said, and Bears, if you would repeat that one more time, what you said, because that is so important, and if they'll follow this, it will work.
If you could get the same or better coverage and pay less, would you be open to getting a quote? Not open to switching. Make sure you ask the right question. Would you be open to getting a quote? Because if you say, "Would you be open to switching?" someone is going to feel like you're pushing them to switch. Would you be open to you could even say open to getting a free quote. It's really simple. If you use this exact phrase, it's going to be really easy. Most people are going to say, "Yeah, sure. I would definitely be open to it." So, Jim, the next part I really love. This is so important. Gang, have some, I call them try our service. Some people call them test phones. Have some try our service phones. One iPhone and one Android. Jim, can you talk about the importance of this and how you do this and how you use this tool?
Absolutely. I teach my team and even myself. I keep several test phones because I always say that you can go to the map and you can see that we have great coverage. You can do some research and see that we're number one in different areas like Austin, Texas, Houston, Texas, Washington, D.C. But, I always say if it's even free, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So I keep test phones. I teach my team to keep one Android and keep one iPhone. You're in business. So when you have test phones, you can give it to your prospect and say, here, take this for a couple of days, try it out, call your friends with it, have them call you and test the data. When you see how fast the data is, you'll be very impressed with our network. And once they take that test phone and they see how good the network is and how fast the data, it's just a win-win.
Jim, I love that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So we don't want to switch anyone and have them have a bad experience. Gang, it's so important. You want to make sure that their service is going to be optimal when they switch. So check the service area and have some test phones. You don't need to do it with yourself and by yourself, right? You can do this with your team or some friends and literally get at least one iPhone and one Android phone, put it on our service, and just use them to lend out and let people try it. I always like, Jim, to ask people to try it where they live, try it where you work, and try it where you play. That way, in every place that you're going to be using your phone, they're going to find out if that service works really well. And what's really cool is they can take that phone and hold it next to their current phone and compare the two.
Absolutely. It's very important that you do that. Let them try it for a couple of days, and you can get through our store. You can get an inexpensive iPhone and an inexpensive Android, and they can experience. But make sure that they use it and go to the places they spend the most time. I'll give you an example. We have a lake here outside of Tulsa, and it's a lake that is frequented by a lot of folks. And in parts of that lake, there is not a good coverage. And so I don't want to put anybody through frustration. We don't want to. We want it to be a great experience from the very beginning all the way through. And so I will tell them, hey, go to that. If you spend a lot of time on that lake, make sure that it will work in the areas that you spend the most time. And it's so important you do that because, again, nobody wants frustration. And once you do it right, it will last forever, in my opinion.
You know what, Jim? It's funny. Years ago, before we actually launched wireless with our company, my good friend, Executive Director Ed Ennis Jr., he would call me every morning on his way into his office. And on his way in, he always hit a dead spot. And he had Sprint service his entire life. He had Sprint service before we started using Sprint as our carrier with Connect, and he has it now with Connect. So he had Sprint service, and he would lose me all the time. He'd say, I'm about ready to get to that dead spot. I might lose you. And I would say 9 times out of 10, we'd get disconnected and he would call back. But then after a few years, I never realized it, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I thought, you know what, he never loses me at that spot any longer because Sprint has really been building up their network a lot. So Jim, can you talk a little bit about how the service itself has gotten better and better over time and continues to get better?
Absolutely. And I'm glad that we're touching on this because I was actually a Sprint customer for 14 to 15 years before we started offering the service. And now if you add that to how long we've been in the wireless business with Sprint through Connect, that puts me over 20 plus years. And me, myself personally, because being with them, I've seen the changes personally that has occurred. And so when they were bought by a Japanese company, SoftBank, and they started putting millions and millions of dollars into the network, growing their network, upgrading, taking the copper out and putting the fiber optic, the top of technology in able to have one of the best networks out there. The drop calls that you're talking about. I was driving in Houston before I moved back to Tulsa, and I could always tell when I was going to lose somebody, and exactly I would tell them if they didn't know because we were just talking for the first time, or I was never in that area when I was talking to them before. I said, hey, by the way, I might drop you, but I'll call you right back. I'm in an area I normally drop. That has all changed. We don't have that, and they continually working on their network. And you've seen the commercials that says that they're 1% behind Verizon, the company that is the number one company at half the price. And so they have done an incredible job building up their network and becoming the network that they are.
Say that again, half the price, right? Is that what you just said?
Well, what I like about it, they say that they can cut a Verizon bill in half. Right. And then we can add on top of that discount.
Right.
So we actually can take Sprint customers and even save them money. and we do it on a regular basis. Me, myself, I was paying $99 for unlimited everything, text, talk, and data when we first started, when we launched into wireless. We at the time were at 70, so it was $29 savings. I wanted to be my own customer anyway. I would have paid the same price at $99, but it was 70. And then, of course, we run a special at 65, then 60, then 55. And because we're not in a contract, whenever we do offer, we can actually call and get a lower rate as they're offering. And so I myself was a Sprint customer, and when we launched, I was able to save $29 a month myself personally.
Awesome. So, gang, ask your friends and family what they're paying for their service. Then the next question is, after they tell you how upset they are about the amount of money they pay on their bill every single month, ask them if they could get a better, if they could get the same or better coverage and pay less, would you be open to getting a quote? And finally, have some trial of phones ready, one iPhone and one Android. That's the first thing to do. But again, only if you're serious. If you are not serious, you definitely don't want to do that.
Bears, I will like to say that it is a game changer when you get those test phones, and I really want to drive it home. And I just want to tell one experience. Had somebody that him and his brother here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was the very first Sprint franchise in the state of Oklahoma and in Tulsa. And when I shared the Connect opportunity with him and I told him it was on the Sprint network, he chose at that point to say, no, I'm not interested. But because I did have a test phone, I said, Alex, when's the last time you've been on their network? And he said, it's been a while. I said, well, do me a favor, because I don't want you to have the opinion of the network that you have, because you were back in that time. And remember, the average person stays with their carrier 8 years, 4 months. Well, a lot of things have changed in 8 years, 4 months. Look in the mirror. Get a picture of you 8 years ago, a portrait of you, and look in the mirror and see if there hasn't been some change even in your own
I was way better looking back in the day, Jim.
I was too. And so because I had this test phone and I said, Alex, please try it for a couple of days, because I want you to understand what has happened so you don't have that same opinion. Not only did he call me back 2 days later, but he invited me to his house, and I switched him, his wife, and his 2 children from Verizon to Connect and saved them lots of money. So remember, when somebody says something about, oh, well, I've heard that, or I was with them back in the day, remember, you were probably back 8 years or longer, and things have changed.
And I will make a disclaimer. I said I was way better looking, but it was a low bar, as my buddy Brian Dilsheimer would say. So Jim, let's talk about the value. And this is in gold again, because this is some of the gold in our training here today, showing the value of becoming a wireless customer with Connect. And this is so important, Jim. There's a lot of value to doing this if you do this the right way. It's not just about paying a little bit less for their service. There's so much more you can offer a customer if you show value. Again, this is all about a relationship, right, Jim? I think that's probably the biggest thing that we want to think about here when we go through this segment here. It's all about the relationship we have with someone else, and we're going to use that relationship, the fact that we're their friend, and we want to help them through all this. So let's talk about the value that there is with becoming a customer, a wireless customer with Connect. So here's our first example, and we're going to go through this one by one, Jim. Here's an example, and this is a made-up example, gang. Understand, this is not real life. These are made-up numbers, but these are numbers that could happen for real, but these are not real numbers. I think you get my point. So I want to remind you, the savings that we're describing here, it's not guaranteed. This is an example for training purposes. It might be better. It might not be as good. You might not be able to save someone any money at all. That's simply life, right? So in this case, Jim, Jennifer was paying $300.94 a month with Sprint for 4 lines. Her bill with Connect would be $148.62, and that would make Jennifer save $152.32 a month, or over $1,800 a year. And here's the sticking point, Jim. A lot of people they can't switch because they still have to pay for a phone, right? The phone is still owned by the carrier. So can you talk a little bit about how that works before we go further with this example? I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that comes up right at the very beginning, because a lot of people have got into a lease to purchase, and mostly it's a lease on a device because the carrier wants to keep you every 2 years, keep renewing you. So if they lease it to you, then you're going to go back and get a new device because the latest and greatest, and most people want to do that. But there are other ways that we'll talk about how you can do that. But then what we find is they'll say, well, we're in a contract. Well, no, they're not in a contract with the provider or as the network. They're in a contract on the device, but it can be paid off. It can be paid off and brought over. There's just a balance, whatever the balance is. So in this particular scenario, you would take the savings and use the savings to pay off the devices if there was balance owed. Once they pay off the devices, they own the device, and now they can take that savings and use it somewhere else as paying off credit card, throw it towards their mortgage, car payment, or whatsoever. So when you get into a situation where somebody says we're on a contract, understand they're not in a contract on the network. They're in a contract with the device, but the device does have a payoff and a balance that could be paid for, and they can go ahead, once that device is paid for, bring it over to our network, and the savings will pay off the device. And I always say, do you want to keep paying for that phone, or would you like your savings to pay for that phone for you? Because if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep paying what you're paying, and you're paying for the device. If you take the value of us saving through us and take that savings, guess who's paying that device off? The savings is. And then it goes into your
Jim,
pocket.
that was gold right there. I don't have that on a slide, so you're going to need to say that again, because gang, you get your pen out, be ready to write this down. Jim, say that one more time. Do you want
I said, do you want to keep paying the payments and paying for that device, or would you like to switch over to us and take the savings and let the savings pay off the device? Because if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to pay for it. But if you let me help you through Connect, giving you a better service for less, the savings will pay for the device, not you.
Okay, so let's take a look at this. Jennifer was paying over $300 a month for 4 lines with Sprint. Her bill with Connect would be $148, about $150. So Jennifer would be saving about $150 a month, or about $1,800 a year. So the problem was that Jennifer still owed $1,200 on her phone, Jim. So she didn't have $1,200 to pay off her phones to switch over, because even though she's not in a contract, she can't get out of the deal she had with Sprint without paying off the phone, because those two things are sort of attached. So what she did is she refinanced her phone for 1 year at 5%. All of her phones, she refined all of them at 5% for $102 a month. And this is we don't know what any percentage anyone would get. This is an example, okay? So it might be less, it might be more, but $102 a month, or $1,200 for the year. So remember, she was saving $1,800 by switching to Connect. So she used her savings to pay off her phone, and at the end of the year, she owns them, Jim. And in that first year, Jennifer, she actually still saved another $600 on top of paying off her phone. She saved another $600, and she applied that to credit card debt or something else. And in the second year, Jennifer could use the full $1,800 to pay off credit card debt or a mortgage, or maybe, purchase something that she needed. Jim, there's a lot of value in this. Kind of talk through this, because this is a pretty cool thing that we can do.
What's still saying, what we don't know is what we don't know. And once we're educated, the reason we don't like to change in most cases, if not all cases, is because of the unknown. But once we're educated to understand that this is a benefit, a value to the change, then we're all for it. So it's all about educating people and showing them, hey, you're just in a contract on your phone, but with the savings, we can show you that will pay off those devices, because if you keep doing what you're doing, you're paying the devices, and we can take that savings, pay off the devices, and then after you get them paid off, then you can not buy pizza with it, but like what you said, you can throw it towards a mortgage, pay off some credit cards. So it's a snowball. I always say, I used to teach the Dave Ramsey course, and then we snowball in debt, but he has a plan Of course, it shows you how to snowball out. We have that same plan with wireless. We have a plan to show them not to do what they've been doing, because that's how they've been programmed, that to go out and get a new device through the carrier every year, but they're paying premium for it. We can show them how to take the savings, pay off those devices, and then from then on, we'll show them how to get devices without all that expense.
Right, and there are multiple ways that you can refi. You can pay, put it on a credit card. You can. I think PayPal and some other companies have different ways that you can refi. Right, we're not affiliated with them, gang. So this is all on your own. This is not us. But there are different ways you can find to get refied, help your customers refi those phones. But the idea is, this is all about, Jim, being creative, right? If we can be creative, we can do anything.
Exactly. I'll ask them, I'll say, by the way, do you have a credit card that you can pay those off? And if they say no, and I say, well, how about a relationship with your credit union or your bank? And if not, then I give them some, like you said, some other options that they can check out that we're not affiliated with, but there are options that they can utilize to get all those phones paid off through the carrier and take the savings and pay off the credit card or the bank or the credit union.
And gang, again, this is all about the relationship, right? Remember, a lot of times we think as a relationship with what I can get that person to give me because of the relationship I have. But you need to think of the other way. What is it that you can offer them because of the relationship that you have, right? How can you help them through this? They're not going to get this kind of concierge service that they would get if you just went into a store, right? You've got a relationship with them, whether it be a personal relationship or a business relationship. So act like you've got a good relationship and be someone who can offer them more than they would if they were to just walk into some store somewhere. So Jim, let's look at a second example here. And gang, by the way, it's really important that, we're going through this quickly. Go back and watch it again, but only if you're serious. Watch this stuff again and take notes and study it and make sure you understand what you're doing. So here's our second example. We've got Daniel, who is paying about $140 a month with Verizon for one line. His bill, when he switched to wireless with Connect, became about $50 a month. In this case, it would probably be closer to $35 or $40 with tax if you were switching now because of this promotion we have. So Dan was saving $90. In this case, it would be a little bit more than that, or over $1,800 in 1 year, but he still owed about $400 on his phone. He refinanced it for about 6%, $34 a month. That's about $400 in total for the year. Remember, he saved over $1,000 in 12 months by switching to Connect. So he was using his savings to pay off the phone so he could own it, like we did in the previous example. So in that first year, Daniel used the $400 he saved to begin to pay down his mortgage. And gang, I don't know about you, but when you pay, I love paying a little bit extra on my mortgage every month because that takes away the principal, which means later on in the final years, I don't have to be paying for as many years, and you save so much more money. And I'm not getting into being a financial advisor, but understand that becomes exponential savings. And that's the point. I think you all understand that. So in that second year, Daniel was able to pay off an entire $1,000 toward his mortgage because of the savings he had with Connect, Jim. So this is some really powerful stuff, Jim, that we've got here that we can help people with.
It really does, because once we can show them that we're in it for their best interest, that we're there to show them and share with them how they can save on something that's going to be in their budget till they die. Cell phones are going to be in their budget. We're going to have a cell phone bill until we pass this planet. The energy is going to be in our budget. It's just something that you can share with them. And then when we bring out Truby that we're talking about, you've already got their trust. You've already earned their attention to be able to share something even great as well. My opinion is it's going to be as good, if not better, than what we already have. And that's what I love about our company. They pride themselves to do more and more and more to help more and more and more.
Awesome. So gang, that's that second example there. Okay. So let's just get into now. We've got someone who says, yeah, I want to be your customer. So we kind of went through all this stuff and dug into it. This next section, we're gonna move a little bit more quickly. This is gonna be basically the process of signing up a customer. If you need to review it, you can go back and review it, but we want to make sure that we can respect everyone's time. So let's get into this. The first thing you want to do is make sure you have certain things ready before you begin the enrollment process. It's very important that you have these things prepared first. First, you want the IMEI, the MEID, the Icc Id numbers. I know that you're thinking, what the heck is all that stuff? We'll get into that in a moment. But just make sure you know that this is what you need. You also need their account number with their current provider. And it may be their phone number, or they may have another account number. So you just need to look on their bill. They can look it up online or a paper copy. And they also need their PIN number. And they may need to call their current provider to confirm and to find out what that PIN is. A lot of people have forgotten it. That's okay. But make sure you get that stuff ahead of time. And here's the gold. Make sure you have SIM cards prepared, and you can get them at store.weconnect.com. That's where you can get the SIM cards at. Jim, talk about why it's really important to have these SIM cards.
Well, you want to be ready and able to be able, once you show them the savings, they want to start immediately on that savings. So by having the SIM cards on hand, it just gives you the ability to go ahead and switch them over to Connect, and the savings starts from that point on. And so I actually teach my team to keep several SIM card packets. Again, we can get these at our store, the WeConnect store. And so it does give you the ability to go ahead and switch them over by having the SIM cards on hand.
Awesome. And gang, what we're going to do is we'll have all the links in the description below the video. So every one of the links that we talk about here, you can go there and click the link. There'll be a link for the SIM cards and a link for everything else. So make sure you look in that description below for all those links. And by the way, this is what it looks like when you go to get a SIM card. Right there you can see, you go to store.weconnect.com and click the devices tab, and on the drop down, the last thing is where it says SIM cards, and that's how you can order them. There are several different SIM cards, and there's a link also to the back office that will show you how you find out which SIM card goes with which phone. So it's really current with all the devices. We'll have that link in the description as well. So let's really get into this. This is the info you need ready before you begin the enrollment process. Make sure the phone is unlocked. So this is the info from them that you need. Contact the carrier to confirm that the phone is unlocked. If it's an AT&T phone, go to att.com/device unlock. They can call T-Mobile to find out if their phone is unlocked. We've got a device checker for Sprint phones. We've got a Connect device checker for that. And Jim, Verizon doesn't unlock phones, do they?
No, Verizon doesn't lock their phones. So then when you put them in there, and most of the phones that are on Verizon will come over because they're on the same CDMA network. And so they don't lock them, so you don't have to worry about that. They're ready to go.
Awesome. So here's the next thing. IMEI or MEID, either of those two numbers. Here's how you find it. It's really simple. You can do this on any phone. It works on an Apple and it works on an Android. I know though Apples are better. I'm just saying. Sorry about that, Winchell. If Winchell's watching, he knows what I'm saying. So if you go to on your phone, if you go to the keypad, just like you're calling somebody, hit *#06#, and the IMEI or MEID numbers will populate automatically on your phone. It won't call anybody. It will just show up on your phone. It's really pretty cool. So that's how you find out that info. Take a screenshot, write it down if you need it. The next thing is the Icc Id number. So gang, remember, you don't need to memorize this stuff. You can watch the replay again. You're taking notes. It'll all be okay. So to find the Icc Id number on an iPhone, you go to Settings, General, About, and that will show you the Icc Id number. On an Android, you go to Settings, About, Phone Identity, or Status. It might say one or the other, and then you'll be able to see the Icc Id numbers. Take a screenshot, write this part down, and you'll be fine with that. The next thing is the account number. How do you get the account number? Well, heck, you just go on the bill. That was pretty simple, Jim. That was really easy. So you just look on the bill, and you can find that account number information. All right, so how does someone sign up? The first thing is you go obviously to your home site. Make sure you're on your home site. go to shop enroll services and go to shop wireless. Once you click on shop wireless, right, that's going to take you to this screen. Of course, we've got this great $35 promotion right now, again, through to the end of May. And the first thing I would do, Jim, is just double check their coverage, right? So you click coverage, and that's going to bring up the coverage map. And if you notice there, you can search for a location. You can literally put their actual address in there. You click the go button, and you'll notice that right below where it says search for location, it says voice and data. There are two tabs, and you can go back and forth between the voice coverage and the data coverage. It's very important that you check both. Don't just check one, check both, because people, they love to be on the phone, but they also want to be able to use the data portion of their phone and vice versa. So be sure to check both. When you check the voice, this is what the voice coverage looks like for the map of the country. You can actually zoom in any place on the map as well. And then this is what data looks like. You can zoom in any place there as well too. You'll notice that the major metropolitan areas, the data coverage is very good. And just make sure you check this out and understand how this works. So the next thing is, again, you're going to go back to the screen. You might have already checked the coverage. So the next thing you want to do is check the device to make sure the device can switch. So you just click check your device. Once you've done that, it takes you to this screen here. And this is where that MEID or the IMEI number comes in. And you're going to enter that here. It's really simple. It's 14 digits long. You click check. Make sure you click that I am not a robot thing and answer the questions that you get there. Once it says, congratulations, your device will work with our wireless service, great, you can move on. But Jim, what if it's not? What happens then if you get, sorry, this device won't work? What do you do next?
At that point, the device will not come over to the network because doesn't qualify for our network. Then you need to purchase another device. Again, we go to our WeConnect store, and they can purchase devices. We have financing available, but they would need to purchase a device that will connect to our network.
So, Jim, again, we're going to be creative here, right? It might be that they still have to pay off their device, right? And then they've got this other device that they've got to switch. So what's a solution here? If we want to be creative, what can we do?
Well, it's really simple, because the savings that they're going to get is going to allow them to pay off the device. Even though they switch to connect with a new device, they are going to have that savings. What they'll do is they won't owe on the network anymore to their previous provider. They'll just owe on the phone. So again, they take the savings from the two networks, switch it to connect, and they can pay that device off. In most cases, it's $25, $30 at most, and they can take and pay that device off. Once that device is paid off, then obviously they don't owe for that anymore to that carrier. In the interim, also, they can sell that device and pay that device off that way as well. But the savings will allow them to be creative and take the savings through Connect by switching over to us and being able to take that savings and pay off the device and sell it on top of that.
Awesome. So here we are. We're back on that screen. We've put the 14-digit IMEI or MEID number in there. And then we got this message. Congratulations, your device will work with our wireless service. So you click the Get Started button. That's a pretty simple thing to do. So once we click that, we move to the next screen, and we've got to put in our MEID or IMEI. I don't know. Maybe I confused things here, Jim. Did I mess something up?
I'm good here on my end.
Okay, we're good. So we put that in. We click check, and once we click that check button, we get the question is zip code. So we put the zip code in, right? Once you put your zip code in, you click go. And once you click go, we get to this next screen, and it says, congratulations, your device is compatible with our network. And you've got two options here, Jim. We've got the Icc Id number we may need to put in. We may not need to put it in. And if we don't, we click that I don't have an Icc Id card checkbox. How do we know which to do here, Jim? It's a little bit confusing at this point.
So if the phone is compatible to our network, it will actually pull the Icc Id number up for you. You don't even have to put it in there, but double check it anyway. if the phone is compatible. If it's not, and you don't have a SIM card pack, and by the way, I do want to touch on the SIM card pack. When you purchase the SIM card pack, it does have a SIM card that will fit. One of the 4 SIM cards will fit any device. If you don't have that and you need a SIM card, then you can click that you need a SIM card. The switch won't go over yet, so they won't be without service. It won't happen until they receive a SIM card from Connect. Once they receive that SIM card, and then they call and give that Icc Id number, which is the SIM card number, then they'll go ahead and follow through with the switch. So once they click the box saying that they need a SIM card, an Icc Id card, Connect will send one out, and once they receive it, then they can go through the process to go ahead and make the switch be finalized.
So this is where the gold is, gang, because if you already have the SIM cards, you can do it right then and there. So if it's a Sprint phone, basically, Jim, that Icc Id number will populate for them. Am I correct?
That is correct. And there are some devices that will go across the board that once they put the MEID number in there, again, it will show up the Icc Id number for them. But always double check it.
So if it doesn't mean that the phone's not compatible, because we already checked that. What it just means is the SIM card is not compatible and you need a different SIM card. So that's why having that pack is really important. So then you say, I don't have an Icc Id card. You check it, even though you do have one in your hand, right? So don't get confused with that. It's just click that saying, I don't have one. But what you've done is you've gotten proactive and already ordered the SIM cards so you can make that switch right then and there. So once you do that, you click and it gets to the next screen here. Did I back up by accident? Yeah, click, I don't have an Icc. Guys, this is real life. Sorry about that. You click the checkbox there. I don't have an Icc Id card. And you notice there you've got one phone in your checkout. You can choose to add another line if you're adding another line, or you can choose to check out. In this case, we're going to check out. So we're going to click the checkout button and we're going to go to the next screen. And that's it, guys. You know, at that point, what you do is, I guess, Jim, you tell them what they've got to do once they're able to switch. They need to power the phone off, and what's the process there?
Basically, they power the phone off, take the old SIM card out, put the new SIM card on, power it back on, and once it goes through the process, it will actually connect to the network. If it doesn't connect to the network, they can go into settings to updates, profile update. That will actually connect. And if they don't hit that, then there are some numbers that you have on there that they can plug in that will connect the network to the device.
Right.
Very simple.
Right. So, and if you do have the IC, if it is a Sprint number, they don't need to take the card out and put a new card in. What happens then?
If it's
it's from a Sprint, if the ICs, if they don't need a new SIM card and they're just leaving that SIM card and they just power it off and power it back on again.
Yes, all they do is just power it off, power it back on, and it will reboot. Once it reboots, it will go and connect the networks back. And so what it's doing is it's just connecting the network through Connect to the Sprint network. So it's just combining the two.
Right. So now, gang, here's some really important best practices when it comes to enrollment, especially when you're new. Enroll customers during business hours. That's really important to do. And here's why. If something goes wrong and you need to call for assistance, you want to make sure someone's there to pick up the phone. You don't want to do this on a Saturday or a Sunday. I know today's Saturday when you're watching this, if you're watching live, and you don't want to do it yet today, okay? Use Saturday and Sunday this weekend to study and learn how to do this. Take your notes, talk with your team about it, maybe have a couple conversations with people that you know have already used our wireless service and switched some people. But enroll during business hours and avoid the second half of the day on Friday. That's really important too, because if something gets hung up at the system, you don't want your new customer to be without their phone for a weekend. No one wants that. So that's a really good way to lose a customer. So make sure you do things during business hours and avoid the second half of the day on Friday. This is the gold right here in the middle. Use the Dallas onboarding team. It's so important. We actually have a team in Dallas in the corporate office who will help you to onboard your customers. So if you call, especially if you're new, let them take you through that process that we just showed you. Jim, I think you've used this. Has it been successful for you and your team?
Absolutely. You know, one thing that I always teach my team is become your own customer first. Go ahead and switch yourself so you'll see what the process is. Since you've done it, you understand the process, and then you can teach it. But I have used the onboarding, the Dallas team in so many cases, because there are situations that do come up or arrive that you will need some assistance from time to time. And by utilizing that, you'll walk you through it. And once you've gone through several switches, you can pretty much know what's going to need to be done without even utilizing them because of your experience and what you've learned by using them. This is kind of like if you put a bike together, you might have some extra parts left over. If you put another bike together, you'll have less parts. And then when you put your third one, you should know where all the parts go. So that's the way I teach it.
That's awesome. I love that. That's a great analogy. So we want to make sure that you get the bike expert the first time so you don't have any parts left over. So use that Dallas onboarding team guy. And here's the easiest way to reach them. If you call the the UConnect, 833-UConnect, call that number. And if you select add a number rather than new number, enroll for services, add a number. That's how you're going to find them. And once in a while, if they're backed up helping other people, it might shoot off to our normal IVR team. But if that happens, it's okay. You can hang up and call back in a few minutes, and you should be able to get through to somebody. The next thing, Jim, you taught me this. This is such an important thing. Have another phone handy, because if something doesn't go right, if you're doing this on your own and something doesn't go right, you need a phone to be able to call and get support on the line. So make sure you have another phone handy. And again, we mentioned this earlier, but please make sure the phone is unlocked. That is really important, because Jim, what happens if someone tries to switch someone and the phone is not unlocked?
It will not go. The switch will not go through. So you're basically at a dead still. You can't go any further.
And, back in the day, we used to call when we tried to spit up the business on somebody. We'd put them in the valley of death. We didn't let you show them the presentation, but we said they were in the valley of death. And you can actually put your wireless customer in the valley of death if you did not unlock their phone first or make sure their phone was unlocked. It's really important to do that. So we can't stress that enough. So enrollment best practices. And this is really important as well. Everything we're doing here is really, really important, guys. We're giving you a lot of meat. This is a T-bone steak we've got here. So make sure you pay attention to everything we're doing. We've done this in Roll and Business. We did all this stuff. Oh, sorry about that. Like I said, this is real life, guys. Business building strategy. Okay, use the coverage map to find the best service areas. Jim, we talked about that coverage map for finding customers, but I think it's really important also to use the service map to find places where you can build your business too, because let's face it, if you want to build energy, you're going to probably get a better take for people wanting to be an associate in our 10 energy states. We do have associates in our 9 energy states who are building with energy, but it's a harder deal that way. So you want to find where we have really good service areas so that you can find people who are going to want to do this as a business. So you use that coverage map to find our best service areas. The next thing I would do is double check using Google to find where there are the most Sprint stores. And what that tells you, Jim, is that Sprint has really good, it's like a double check. Yeah, there's good service there. And I know that because there are a lot of Sprint stores. So a lot of people are using the service there. Plus, Jim, what I think that also means when you see that there are a lot of Sprint stores is that there are also a lot of people who live in that area. If there are a lot of stores, there's a big population of people living there.
Absolutely. If you think about it, if you go to Google and you don't find a Sprint store in that town or city, that tells you right away that's not a good market. But if you go and Google and you see that there's Sprint stores all over, well, then that tells you that is a great market for them. That's why there's that many stores. And so when you find a good market, like I was mentioning earlier, that Houston, they're number one in Houston, Texas, Friendliness, Austin, Texas, Washington, D.C., Denver, Colorado. Those are great markets. And you should be asking your friends and family if they have any contacts, if they have any friends or family in those areas as well, because you want them to be your customer, but you'd rather them be your associate so you can have more customers. And the one thing that we didn't touch on, and I really want to drive home, the average family has 4 devices. The average person has 1 residence. They either have 1 apartment, they have 1 house, whatever. They only have 1 place that they live in most cases. But on an average of 4 devices per family, you can do very well. And again, we talked about going into non-deregulated areas. You can build anywhere and everywhere with the wireless.
Awesome. So use the coverage map to find the best service area. Again, when we're talking about business building, we're talking about growing your team, guys. So use the coverage map to find the best service areas. Double check using Google to find where there are the most Sprint stores once you find that area. So if in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Jim lives, if service is great there, which it is, double check to see how many stores are there, right? And then the next thing is, this is my ninja move. I love this. This is such a cool thing. Gang, check the best service areas for network marketing friendliness. So if you, for example, I know that in Las Vegas, Nevada, because I've been there several times, the Sprint service, our service with the Connect phone, is really, really good there. There are a lot of people who live there as well. So we know there's a big population of people there. So why not get online and search and do a Google search to find out if that's a really good area for network marketing? So that's another ninja move that you can use to find out where you want to build your business, and then start connecting with people in those areas through LinkedIn and Facebook groups, and start to meet new people there. It's really, really important to do that. And if you want to know more about how to do that, in a few days, on Wednesday, the 1st, I believe, of April, we're going to have a training, another online training right here on our YouTube channel. We're going to have an online training on how to use social media to build your business. So make sure you tune into that in a few days on Wednesday, April 1st. No fooling. So you want to connect with professionals on LinkedIn and Facebook groups in those areas, or any place really, so you can build your business. All right, so finally, here we are. We're getting near the end here today. Here's what you learned. You learned why you're here today, because you want more MEI. You want more long-term MEI. You learned why you need to have wireless as part of your MEI portfolio. Well, heck, that's the same thing, because it's long-term MEI. And it's actually, Jim, I really like the idea of having that wireless as part of our MEI also, because it's, rates go up and down, right? They fluctuate a lot more than the rates for wireless do. So when it's harder to get when it's harder to get an energy customer, maybe because rates are a bit of a struggle in your market, you can always go get wireless customers.
Absolutely. I actually teach my team is get the wireless first, because that's the biggest savings between the two. And even if we're not competitive in the energy, we can gather that person, that new customer that we just got with wireless through energy, because people actually like to write their less checks or less, pay bills. They'd rather do it to one place than to several places. And once you have that rapport built with them, they would rather do business with you, somebody they know that they have a rapport with, a relationship with, than they would a stranger. And that's one thing I always teach my team is, look, if you have an issue, I can help you. You know me. I know you. When you call up customer service on a company that you have no relationship with, you're just a number. But here I am. I can help you in situations where I'm there to battle and help you. And what you said was so important, that here's what happens with energy. We're getting ready to go into spring and into summer. Well, guess what? We're going to start using our air conditioners, yes? And so the electricity bill is going to start climbing each month we get in deeper into the summer months. Well, when people start opening those bills because they're not the same amount as the bill last month, then they think about, well, maybe I need to look around and shop around and see if there's any better rates. When you open up a wireless bill, when you sign up with Connect Wireless, whatever you sign up for is what you're going to pay. The only way it'll ever change is if you leave and come back. Well, who's going to leave if they're paying that kind of price? So when they they're not actually opening up a wireless bill, but they do open up a text or an email, it's consistent every month. So there's no sticker shock. It's the same. They know it. It's consistently going to be that, so they can budget for that. In energy, they have to rebudget back and forth depending on the time and the season.
Awesome. So you already know why you want wireless as your part of your MEI portfolio. The next thing is you want to show your customers the value of becoming a Connect wireless customer. We learned that today. We learned how selling wireless is similar to and sometimes a little bit different than energy. We learned where to find wireless customers by using that service area map, where you can and should sell wireless. Obviously, where we have good service is where you want to sell wireless, and that's where you can sell wireless. How to build your team using wireless. We just talked about using that service area map and searching on Google to find good locations to build your team using wireless. We taught you how to enroll a wireless customer, and we gave you some really good tips and strategies to maximize your success rate. So with all that being said, here's your action plan, gang. Get a team huddle together. Get on the phone right now. Get on a Zoom with your team and talk about how you can build this together as a team. Don't do this as an island. Do this as a group. Do this together. You're going to have a lot more success that way. The second thing is switch your personal phone to wireless with Connect, and then get a couple of those test phones, right? That's so important to do, and use that Dallas onboarding team to help you through that process so you learn how to do it. It's really great to have someone there to be your training wheels as you're going through the process for the first few times. Again, get some of those try our service phones as a team. You can do that together so you're not all paying for those out of pocket a lot of money. It's just a little bit so you can invest into your business that way. Have conversations about wireless with potential customers. It's really important to do that. If you don't have that conversation, it's really hard to get customers. Finally, you want to switch your first phone to Connect in the next week, and then don't be distracted by 5G, gang. You know, we've talked about it. It's coming. It's down the road. Don't be distracted by it. Be motivated by it, because when it comes, everything's going to be so much better. And Jim, I think it's really important for people to understand that a lot of times on your phone, it says 5G service, but right now it's not 5G, is it?
No, it's not. And so you do need to know that 5G is still a little ways away for all carriers, but there are, and I'll use AT&T for an example, it's not 5G, it's showing 5G, but you are not connected to 5G. You would have to have a brand new device unless you purchased a 5G device in the last couple of months before you can actually have 5G. So it's not 5G.
Right, so it's a branding that they have right now, but 5G is coming down the road. So make sure you follow through this action plan. Don't get distracted by 5G. Get yourself motivated by it, gang. That's it. That's our wireless training today. It went a little bit longer than we had hoped, but that's okay. You can go back and watch this again if you need to go and get some of those nuggets. In fact, you should watch it again. Share this with your team. Help other folks to really understand how to build with wireless. We're giving you the tools on this so you know what to do next. I think that's the thing that keeps most people from inaction, Jim. It's just that fear of, I don't know what to do next. So, Jim, thank you so much for being with us today. Thanks for giving your time. I know you're always welcome and open to helping folks who have questions with this, and I really appreciate you. National Director Jim Spargur, everyone, thank you so much. Thank him in the comments section as well. And gang, we'll see you next Wednesday for another training. We have our social media training coming up next. If you missed the Focused and Connected training, make sure you watch that. We're going to keep putting more and more trainings here in our YouTube channel. Don't miss it, gang. Thanks so much for being here with us. We'll see you next time.